anyone has questions, comments, remarks, I'm at your disposal.
When did you start writing poetry?
When?
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess I'll have to tell my age, which is very sad. I guess I began in 96, 97. So my wife will not listen to this now. Like everyone, I began writing for a girl. Everybody writes.
Not me.
not her, sadly. It took still a long time for happiness. But yeah, so I guess I began with 16, 17 years old, and it was a long process. Of course, when I started, it was, of course, I thought I was very good, which I was not, obviously. I was terrible, and I wrote everywhere and everything, and then maybe 3-4 years later, I got all the papers and put them in the garbage. And I understood that I had to read more, I had to study more, and after that I began to write much less, and to read much more, and to rewrite a lot, and yeah, that's how I got it.
Did it help with the girl at least?
I guess you have to ask my wife.
Well, not
Well-
with her. With me it helped.
Previously, I will not count.
Well, my first association when I heard you reading the landscape was, it is like Czesław Miłosz. But no, it is how my Polish brain functions, making the association between you and the Polish Nobel laureate literature. Of course, you gave the interpretation according to the present situation in Portugal, and you unveiled all the allegoric symbol and allegoric meaning of the poem. But to my mind, it is obvious that it has something to do with Czesław Miłosz. Whether support this or not.
Yes.
So is it Miłosz? A landscape has anything to do with Czesław Miłosz, or is it absolutely different?
Not directly, not directly. So it's Miłosz was not in the background when it was written, but Miłosz is always in the background in my poetry. In fact, I would say that Polish poetry is very much in the background. I first discovered Polish poetry in 2003. I was in Czech Republic doing a Leonardo da Vinci program, and I met some friends, Polish friends, and
who was your first Polish poet?
today or back then?
Every time when you were in the Czech Republic.
So I knew very badly. I knew some things of
Czesław Miłosz?
Miłosz and Szymborski, yes, Miłosz and Szymborski, very badly. And when I came, a great influence in the books I bought at that moment were Czesław Miłosz, Joanna Szymborska, and Adam Zajewski. And those were the three first Polish poets that drove me into Polish poetry, in translation, of course. Nowadays, I'm trying to make it in Polish. Hopefully, soon it will be possible. Not yet there. And so it was from those three writers, and especially Miłosz, which was in prose and in poetry, and psychologically my closest relative in this influence. The one that most influenced me, I guess. Both in his collective poems and in the prose work, especially in the essays, and in this beautiful book called Captive Mind. And yeah, so after that, Miłosz is a presence. Szymborska, yes, she faded a bit away into the background and gave place to other Polish writers like Lidia Arcik and Ewa Lipska and so on.
I feel that the real background is some kind of Christian mysticism behind of you and Miłosz.
Yeah, you can say that at times it's present. Yeah, some kind of a desire to mix the religious poem with the non-religious poems, desire to make an hybrid or something that is possible. That's something, a poem that can drive between in the middle ground between those two realities. Yes, yes. And something of almost a metaphysical poetry, or going for another very important influence, which is John Milton in Anglo-Saxon poetry, and yeah, and T.S. Eliot, for example, and Art Crack. Yeah, for sure, that is an influence. Thank you.
Could you shed a light on the lidos on the other side of the
So I guess if it's a poem that most people have not read, because they don't have the book yet, so I'll just read it first. If everybody's in agreement, and then I'll.
stand, right? Eight.
So I'll read the title first, because there's a thing with the title that I'll explain later. On the other side of the looking glass. And she says, "Is it true? Previously, nothing had been stated." Delighted, he faces her. "What?" Watching from the couch, she replies. And she says, "Is it true?" Taken by her serious tomfoolery, he feels the foam on his feet. "Yes." And she returns to the book. Now in Portuguese. Do outro lado do espelho. E ela diz: "É verdade?" Anteriormente nada fora proferido. Deliciado, encara. "O quê?" Observando o sofá, repete. E ela diz: "É verdade?" Tomado por sua séria traquinice, ele sente a espuma nos pés. "Sim." E ela retorna ao livro. So I guess the first big hint or big key to the poem will be the title, which with the translation in this book it's more visible, which is this looking glass moment in the title. Because in Portuguese, espelho means mirror, but it's translated as looking glass. Because the key to the book, to the poem, sorry, and the influence of the poem is Alice in Wonderland, and especially this second part of Alice, which is Through the Looking Glass. And so this poem is about the real and the fiction, or the real and the unreal, a bit like Don Quixote and Cervantes' book, where we don't know what is real, what is not real, what is a moment that is actually happening within our conception of reality as we know it, and what is fiction, what is something that was written. And so there's this kind of a puzzle that is being placed within this book, and the game of mirrors and of realities, and how these realities at times intertwine and at times are not divided by clear boundaries. I hope that's enough.
Much better than you had stuff just. Yeah.
Does the something of your poetry some kind of hostility in between the human being, the language, and the existence? Just like it was in that vast distance. The sequence of hostilities, right? Human being is different from the language, and still the existence is much more different from the former two categories.
I wouldn't say an hostility between individual and language. I think that for me the problem is there is an hostility between individuals, between the difference that exists between societies, between individuals, and between the individual and societies and so on. And so I guess language is something quite personal, quite individual. Sorry, the term.
Because you sort of, I think that you're conscious of it, you sort of blow up, blow through the human, no,
in the sense that in this poematic language as something specific for, as if there was an individual language that is not shared. Even if we are all speaking Polish or English or Portuguese or whatever, I speak my Portuguese. I speak even my English, even if it's better, if it's worse than my Portuguese. And I speak my Polish, even if it's much worse than my English, and even much worse than my Portuguese. But it's like as if language was viewed as belonging specifically to the individual, and which means that if there is a gap, if there is an aggression or a distance which is aggressive between individuals, it is explicit in the language. So yeah, I would say that you can say that there is an aggression between individual language in this sense. I would say so.
Yeah, I know that we're in Poland right now, but I'm curious if you have any influence from any Latin American poet.
Yes, not much, but yes. Not that I have.
Neruda speaks also a lot of those.
I would say I have one huge influence in South America, which is José Luis Borges. So yeah, Borges is a huge influence in my growth as a writer and as a person. And yes, Borges is a constant influence and constant confrontation. So not so much typical Latin American poetry. If we include Brazilian poetry, I would say probably Drummond and Andrade is the biggest influence. But I would say, in fact, the biggest influence from South America is Borges. In translation and literature, both in prose and both in poetry. And since we were talking about language and the possibility or impossibility of translation and of communication, that great piece of prose, short story, whatever, called Pierre Menard. I hope that was
Great.
Now there is a question of the Polish version of your poems. That is quite a challenge for us. You know, with the soul, with the eyes of my soul, I can imagine a trilingual version.
That will be a challenge, yes. It will be beautiful, but it will be a challenge. Maybe one day.
And technically, how is it? You conceive the poem in Portuguese and then you have it translated into English, or do you conceive in both of the languages and then you polish the poems so as to get them better included in English, or you just cannot say sometimes in English and sometimes in Portuguese, or are you bilingual?
Well, at times I have ideas in English that then I recreate it in Portuguese, but I never write the poem in English. Because I would say that most of my process of writing is mental. So I spend usually a long time with the poem in my head, rewriting it, until the moment I write it, and then it stays for hopefully a few months, and then I go back to it and I rewrite it. But there's always a moment when it's being written and rewritten in my mind before going to paper. And in the beginning, it can happen that I have an idea in English, and then I transpose it to Portuguese and start writing the poem. So I guess the poem only starts in Portuguese. The idea can appear in English, but the poem only starts in Portuguese. With this translation, which was self-translation, which is something complicated, which I knew was something complicated, but I never imagined how complicated it is. A problem emerged, which was the possibility as the author of translate or of changing, if I find it convenient, the Portuguese version, which is a big dilemma, and it was a big angst, almost in the Edgarian sense. That I have this poem which I find complete in Portuguese, and I'm going for the English version. And suddenly there's this nuance or this different verse that sounds better in English if I transform it. But if I transform it, it changes some meaning of the poem. Should I change it also in Portuguese? Should I accept this possibility of kind of pressure from the translation which is being created? Which obviously it's not. I'm not there. Maybe to say it's a translation, but maybe a version. I would say that the translation needs an impartiality.
Do you translate by yourself or do you have it translated by someone else?
In this book, it was written by myself. It was a decision that the book should be published, and I decided I wanted it to have a wider audience, so I wanted it to be bilingual, to have another language that might help people that don't speak Portuguese to enter it, and so I decided to translate it.
So if we assume that an act of translation is also a creation in fact when you are bilingual and the poet of Portuguese or the English languages.
Yes, even if I would say that I would prefer not to do it. Because I think self-translation is quite risky endeavor. Yes?
Maybe one last question for me.
Yes,
I know you're writing a lot about love and stuff like this, but have you thought about writing about some other poetry about some other situations like
football?
daily life, like villa rebates? I don't know. No, but like a different situation that might I don't know inspire you rather than love.
I would say that the book is not as much about, doesn't have that many love poems. Beware. And I don't know if the word love appears in the book. I don't think so at all, which is interesting. I used to write a lot about love when I was young, and I stopped. It was silly. Sure.
Can you read the last poem of the book?
Okay. Maybe I better explain it. So this last poem of the book, it was written, the title was written before the poem, so the title was scratched on a piece of paper in Lisbon still, but the poem was written in Poland, in Krakow, already. In 2014, it was rewritten in 2015. It's a bit, if we look at what happened today in Portugal, it's a bit about that, in almost kind of prevision of what was coming, a kind of seeing before time what would happen and is happening today in Lisbon. But it's also very influenced by my readings of Polish history and Central and Eastern European history and throughout the 20th century. So the title is, and at last the red horses arrive. White horses, long-haired white horses with a red, dark, sticky spot. Such turmoil, such clamors are not understandable. Distinct are your body and spirit's tremors when perceiving the blood leaping warm on the bodies. Opponents are the lips and the wind, and the men arrive undisturbed, coveting what belongs to you. Others arrive glacial with ash for a heart, yet the rain always falls on the haughty, someone says, and at last the red horses arrive. E, por fim, chegam os cavalos vermelhos. Cavalos brancos, cavalos de longo pelo branco, uma mancha vermelha, escura, viscosa. Não se consegue entender o frenesim, o clamor. Distingue-se os tremores do teu corpo e do espírito. A vistante sangue pingando quente nos corpos. São adversários os lábios e o vento. E os homens chegam imperturbáveis, cobiçando o que te pertence. Outros chegam gélidos com o peito de cinza. Mas a chuva cai sempre sobre os prepotentes, ouves dizer. E, por fim, chegam os cavalos vermelhos.
Thank you.
Throughout the book, you have a wide range of subjects. There are love poems. I've already read one of them at least. There are poems about war, politics. Also read about that, and the European dilemmas, be it the refugees, be it the economic crisis, financial crisis. But there are a lot of poems about language and translation. Obviously, study translation, that is, I guess, it's normal. But I'll read a poem about death and about passing. There's a poem written in 2014 about a friend that died, and it's the only poem in the book that doesn't have a title based on words, but only on symbols, and not on words. A symbol, not symbols, which is a straight line. In the beginning, first the title was Death, and I found it a bit redundant and unnecessary, and at the same time a bit too much, as if too much was being made explicit. And so just a straight line representing as if it was a visual picture of that moment, of that person that passed away. Eternity couldn't find more room for you and lay its hands on your face, without violence, without guilt, only with maternal tenderness before the undefferable. It did not do it out of anger or grief towards you. It never ceased to love you, eternity. Simply space decreased, and time ceased to fit in your fingers. Neither was it out of sadism or hatred towards us. It never ceased to love us, eternity. Its loving support solely will no more than the consternated comfort. A eternidade não encontrou mais espaço para ti e pousou as mãos sobre o teu rosto, sem violência, sem culpa, apenas com a doçura materna perante o inadiável. Não o fez por raiva ou desgosto para contigo. Nunca deixou de te amar, a eternidade. Simplesmente o espaço reduziu-se e o tempo deixou de caber nos teus dedos. Nem foi por sadismo ou ódio para connosco. Nunca deixou de nos amar, a eternidade. O seu amparo, tão somente, não pôde mais, o consternado conforto. So I guess the word love appears in the poem.
Se a palavra se usasse,
Okay, so I would say that this poem is a bit self-explanatory, but still, it's about it comes quite in relation with that thing I said about the title of the other poem. As sometimes words seem quite unable to, and too much, unable to provide what we want to say, the keys to what we want to say, the expression to what we are feeling or thinking, and so yeah. But at the same time, it's about also about in a more political and societal way about how at times we have too much noise, we have too much words being spoken by too many people, words which are very much empty and void of meaning. They are just noise that is being thrown into the air to make us distracted, to distract us from the reality and from what is happening in the world or in our community, or if it's in a relation between two people in that moment, or what is behind that moment. If the word ceased. If the word ceased to howl ferociously, noisily, stretching over the future, treading upon it until nothing remained over the horizon. If the word became quiet, giving its place to silence, allowing for the individual breath in the flow of each thought. If the word was freed from restraints, existing solely in its meaning. If the word could once again become the word in the root of each enunciation. If the word could be only the word. If the word ceased. Se a palavra cessasse. Se a palavra cessasse do vário veloz. Se a palavra cessasse do vário feroz, ruidosa, erguendo sobre o futuro, calcando até nada existir sobre o horizonte. Se a palavra se calasse, dando lugar ao silêncio, permitir a respiração individual no fluir de cada pensamento. Se a palavra fosse liberta de amarras, existindo somente no seu significado. Se a palavra pudesse tornar a ser a palavra na raiz de cada enunciação. Se a palavra pudesse ser apenas a palavra. Se a palavra cessasse.
Quase um dadaísmo restituído e restaurado com as palavras à solta.
Yeah, there's the use of the repetition which creates this kind of spiral. As in, I would say that a good idea is this idea from this notion from Hitchcock's movie Vertigo, where you seem to be falling always deeper and deeper into the poetical construction, of course, not in the Okay, so I think we can call it a day or a night. It's all okay.